FM and 1370 AM.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala!
All right, 25 minutes before 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Robin, it was a lifetime ago. I think it was 28 years ago, I think, if I can remember. I think my son was 1 year old.
Yes.
And we wrote a song called Forests Green.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, if I can remember the words, all I want is a world to pass on to the children as green as the world passed on to me.
Yep.
And then it goes on from there. And so we did this little presentation over at the college, and it was pretty good. And we dedicated the song to Greenpeace. Now,
Yeah, and we had it in 4 languages too.
we did. We
Yeah.
had it in English, we had it in Spanish, we had it in German, and we
in
had
French, in Russian, and in Russian.
Is that 5 languages? English, Spanish, French, German, and Russian. 5 languages.
Yeah.
If you count English.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It was all done phonetically because we didn't know how to speak any of those languages. But we had
Right.
coaches. We had
We sure
coaches.
did.
It was a cool experience. Anyway, so what that's got to do with what we're doing right now is that we had dedicated the song to Greenpeace. So that would have been 1987. Am I remembering
Yes.
right? 1987.
Yep. 87.
Then we got this gig doing radio. and I found myself in a position where it was interesting to find that a lot of people were almost making fun of that and calling us tree huggers. Do you remember that whole thing?
Oh, I remember
And
that.
I was like,
that
well,
was so
and I was like, well,
disgusting.
wait a minute, I don't understand. Why
Yeah.
would you be opposed to that? Why would you be opposed to any effort at all? I mean, a song is just a little song. It's nothing. Why would you be opposed to anybody trying to do something to make sure that the world is clean? I mean, isn't that what this is about? I grew up in New York. I remember the campaigns, what's one little litter piece, whatever they say, nothing, but put a bunch of them together. Remember that whole campaign?
Exactly. I remember that.
All right, David Pinsky is on the phone. He is an author, and he's a producer of the 2015 Greenpeace Carting Away the Oceans report. And it's not only about, like our understanding of what needs to be done is so small compared to what those guys in Greenpeace understand. And it's not just about the cleanliness. There's so many other things, including slavery in the seafood industry. So let's find out what this is all about. What's the matter? What? Is there something wrong? Okay. David, are you there? David? Is David not there? Okay, I don't hear anybody on the phone at all. Robin, did I do something wrong? All right, I'm abandoned to here. David, are you on the phone? No? Nobody's on the phone?
Yeah, he's coming.
He's coming on the phone?
Back again, yeah.
Where is he?
He was on the line, but
Oh, he's on the line.
something happened to the phones.
Oh,
and
he's
it
back
dropped
on the line.
David off.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Gosh, I had this great introduction, and
Yeah,
he
you
didn't
did.
hear any of it. I don't think.
No.
David, are you there?
It's still blinking.
David, are you there? There's something wrong with the phones?
I think so.
Is that what it is?
20 feet from me, I don't know.
All right, I'm pushing the button. Ay.
Okay.
David, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh.
Okay, good. He's back.
Now, what is that? What is that other line ringing there? What does that mean? Can you fix that, Dan?
Live radio.
Let me go to commercial break. David, I apologize. I don't know what's going on. Let me take a little break, and we'll fix this during the break. We'll be right back. I hope.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident for today. More clouds and sun, along with a couple of heavy thunderstorms around. There can be flooding downpours and damaging wind gusts in any thunderstorm today. The high 84 to 88. Tonight, mostly cloudy, warm, and muggy with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm. Some heavy, low 72 to 76. Tomorrow, clouds and breaks of sun with a couple of showers and heavy thunderstorms. Watch for flooding. High 84 to 88. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Joe Lundberg.
R&D Tactical Solutions, Ocala's indoor gun range. 12 climate-controlled state-of-the-art lanes. R&D Tactical Solutions, full retail store, everything from firearms to CCW classes. Located next to the Supervisor of Elections. Open 9 to 7 weekdays, 9 to 5 Saturdays, and 10 to 4 Sundays. Call 622-7468. R&D Tactical Solutions, Ocala's indoor gun range. Call 622-7468.
Prestige Food Trucks, the world's leading food truck manufacturer, specializing for the startup vendor all the way up to restaurant chains, is a proud sponsor of Food Truck Talks, the weekly show heard every Wednesday at 9 a.m. on The Source, WOCA News Talk, that brings you the inside scoop, ladle, spatula, spoon, fork, and plate from inside of the custom food trucks you see in and around town. Find what makes each food truck unique in its own way, from the food they serve to how it's prepared in their custom manufactured truck. Food Truck Talks, Wednesdays at 9 a.m., sponsored by Prestige Food Trucks.
All right, 20 minutes before 11 o'clock. Pouring rain out there, by the way, right now.
Yeah.
All right, so David Pinsky is on the phone with us right now. He's an author. He's a producer of the 2015 Greenpeace Carting Away the Oceans report. I had an introduction I wanted him to hear because I wanted him to hear what we had done in the past, Robin. So I'm going to just apologizing to the listeners who heard me say it already. For David's sake, I want to say it again, but I'll abbreviate it. Good morning, David. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Larry. Thanks for having me.
Good. All right, real quick, I wanted to tell you this, that in 1987, Robert and I wrote and recorded a song called Forests Green. And we recorded it in 5 languages: English, German, Russian, Spanish, and French. Mm-hmm. We had coaches that helped us with all those languages, so, you know, it was phonetic for us, but to them, they said we got it. And it was just, and it started out with the words, "All we want is a world to pass on to the children as green as the world passed on to me." We did the song at the local, not the university, it was a community college.
Yes.
We had a little bit of an audience and had a little bit of a buzz going around town. And then shortly after that, we got this radio show gig, okay? Not knowing the environment we were getting into and that it's a very political environment when you do talk radio. So unexpecting this, that people would call us tree huggers, and that's somehow a bad thing. And I would say, how is that a bad thing? How is it a bad thing to be wanting to keep the environment well connected? And I mean, not well connected, clean. I did it much better the first time, David, I promise you. But anyway, we had dedicated the song to Greenpeace, which you guys probably never even heard of us. Oh, no, we got a nice letter from Greenpeace, didn't we?
Yeah, we got a nice letter.
Yeah, we got a nice letter. So, David, thank you for being on the air with us. I was just trying to give you some background, so... Anyway, and plus, the information you have goes beyond keeping it clean. You've got human... issues like slavery in the seafood industry, it says here, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
All right. So, well, with that said, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from the San Francisco Bay Area.
See, one day I'm going to get out there.
I'm based in our San Francisco office, and just, appreciate y'all having me on this morning, and I'd love to hear that song. So if there's some way I can get a link to it, I'd love to listen to it.
We should re-record it. We had such high-pitched voices back then. But well, thank you for being on the air, and thank you for that. We will do that. We'll make sure we get it to you.
Yeah.
So tell me about the documentary. What is the documentary?
So this is our 9th edition of the Carting Away the Oceans report, and this is a ranking in supermarkets in terms of their seafood sustainability.
Oh, okay.
And this is something Greenpeace has been doing now for many years, and really looking at a growing need for supermarkets across the country as major buyers of seafood to really take some responsibility in not only their policies that inform their purchasing practices, how they communicate information to their customers so they can make responsible choices, and ultimately, looking at the overall health of our oceans worldwide. And as you mentioned, Larry, there's some pretty scary things happening right now regarding human rights and actual human rights abuses that are occurring throughout the global seafood industry.
So how do we fix that if it's global? If it's not, if it's in America, I mean, we have laws, but how do our laws fix the world?
Yeah, it's a very complex issue. One of the things that we've seen, so for folks listening, the top stores that came in this year, Whole Foods came in at #1, Wegmans, based in the Mid-Atlantic and headquartered in Rochester.
Is one good or is one bad? Coming in at #1, is that a good thing?
Right. Number one is Best. So it was Whole Foods, followed by Wegmans, Hy-Vee, which is based in the Midwest, and then coming in at number 4 was Safeway, which has stores throughout the country. And really what we've seen is that companies like those are taking initiatives. So when it comes to government regulation, they have called on our Congress to help stop pirate and illegal fishing. They've called on the protection of sensitive marine habitat like Alaska's Bering Sea canyons, and they've also been working to source more sustainable tuna on their shelves. So there is an element of policy that we've been looking at, and how do we change the laws, but ultimately, you know, Greenpeace sees it as major seafood buyers also have a lot of power. And so if a company as big as, say, here in Florida, you know, if Publix or if Winn-Dixie or Bilo stores are calling for more responsibly caught products, that's going to have a huge impact on our oceans globally.
Give me a way to understand how a product is not responsible. What are they doing wrong?
So one area that we look at in the report is our red list, which is the scientifically derived list of 22 marine species for a couple of reasons should not be commercially available. So whether there's a low stock status, they're caught in destructive ways, you know, a lot of the fishing industry now is highly industrialized. So you'll have these bottom trawlers that have this bottom contact gear that are just, you know, raking across the bottom of the ocean, and so they're ripping up any of the habitat that's down there. High levels of bycatch, you know, 100 million sharks killed globally, and many of them are a result of bycatch from the tuna fishing industry. So, you know, the way that we're pulling fish out of the ocean right now is not sustainable for future generations, and so we need to see that shift. And on the, you know, another piece that's very big, and I'm sure you may have a couple more questions about this, is human rights. And, you know, we're seeing a connection between, as there are dwindling stocks of certain species and there's fewer fish to catch, companies are relying on cheap or forced labor to maximize their profits. And we've heard some very gruesome stories about folks that have been enslaved and
so
working in the fishing industry globally.
Let me use, what was the lady's name who used to be on Regis? Kathy Lee Gifford? Mm-hmm. Okay, let me use her as an example, and I'm not picking on her, but she's the best example I can think of just to make a point. She was criticized for having her garments made in China by slave labor. Okay.
Yes.
She said she had no idea. Okay, so just for the sake of this discussion, let's say I have a grocery store chain, whatever. Let's say I own Publix or something, and I have no idea. In the garment industry, there's a way to know. So is Greenpeace the only way we know? In other words, I have a grocery store, and I'm listening to what David Pinsky is saying, and I want to be on board with this. I don't want slave labor catching my fish. I'd rather charge an extra $2 a pound or whatever than to have some kid, you know, who's being mistreated across the country who I don't even know. So I want to be in on this, but how do I monitor? How do I know? And so the question is Greenpeace, like, are you guys the one way to know, or are the other countries cooperating with this?
So it's, you know, this is a global problem, as I mentioned earlier, and I think a very complex one. And so certainly, you know, for folks checking out this year's report, we have a website, very user-friendly. It's seafood.greenpeaceusa.org. And there you can find how your favorite supermarket ranks and a little bit more information about what you can do if you're interested in helping. But really, this is something that folks need to be asking. So there's a lot of power as a consumer to go into your grocery store and ask and say, hey, I'm concerned about this issue. Can you tell me where's the seafood coming from? How was it caught? Or if it was farmed, you know, what were the methods used there? What's your policy on things like this? And those questions start to bring it up to the level of, you know, senior leadership in some of our nation's largest supermarkets. So that's one approach folks can take. There's also a lot of really respected labor and human rights groups out there that have been working on this issue for many years. And, you know, folks can take a look there as well and see.
But you also talk about political advocacy. So are there some politicians out there, whether on a local level or a national level, that are contributing to the illegal function of all of these fishermen, just so their product comes in?
So we've seen a series of international scandals within the last year. Some articles that have just come out in the AP and the Guardian just in the past couple of weeks, and are really showing the connection between government officials and some of these illegal operations. And so, where a big area of focus has been Thailand and Southeast Asia, but this isn't limited to one country. So, yeah, unfortunately, we are seeing that there are times when government is actually complicit in some of these illegal operations. And so, that's one thing where our government can really take a stand by ensuring that illegally caught seafood doesn't make its way into our country, and also can help to strengthen monitoring and enforcement of activities on the seas. But I'll let y'all know, in an article that came out last week, there was someone quoted referring to it as the Wild Wild West out there, and it really is difficult to monitor and patrol all fishing operations globally. So this is, something, again, that governments are going to need to strengthen their efforts, but we're also looking, again, to major seafood buyers like U.S. supermarkets to help out.
So I went to the website, seafood.greenpeaceusa.org, and I picked my supermarket, which is Publix. It's not the only one I go to, but I just picked that one at random. And then it was asking me questions that I could answer very easily because I buy tuna fish.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, I felt guilty as I was going through this thing. It says, tell us about your shopping habits. Do you buy canned tuna? And I said, and then here are the choices. Either nope. The next choice is only pole and line caught or FAD-free tuna, which I don't even know what I buy.
No.
The next one is yes, I read the labels to find something ocean-friendly. I have no idea.
Chicken of
I
the
have
sea.
no idea if it's ocean-friendly. The fourth choice is yes, usually what is cheapest, and that's not exactly true, but it was the best choice for me. And I felt a little guilty because I don't. So in other words, the labels will tell me?
That is a great question. So some labels will tell you. If you walk into some supermarkets around the country, they'll be giving you a little bit more information about whether that product's more sustainably caught. So examples include Whole Foods. Target actually just released a more sustainable canned tuna line. Even Costco is a very large retailer in the U.S. There are some more responsible ways to catch canned tuna. Unfortunately, this is another thing that folks can check out. Greenpeace issued a canned tuna shopping guide back in March,
Right.
and found of the largest brands like Bumblebee, Chicken of the Sea, StarKist, as well as some big grocery stores own brands of canned tuna, but found that 80% of the products on canned tuna products on store shelves are caught in destructive or irresponsible ways. And so this might come as a surprise to folks. It certainly did my cousin, who's over in on the east side in Florida. He said, "Wait a second, David. Bumblebee. There's problems with Bumblebee. I thought it was, okay."
That's right. That's
Yeah.
Well, Larry David, right? The comedian, right? Well, he was helping out. He might have been helping out you guys. I can't remember, but he was saying in his piece, and he's very funny the way he does it, but he actually speaks the truth when he says this. He says, I never get involved with any of these things, but when I found out that it could be the end of tuna fish, I had to get on board because I love tuna fish. I mean, it's a funny thing, but just yesterday we bought some tuna.
Yes, we did.
And what we buy is not the cheapest. It's called albacore. I don't even know what albacore is.
Yeah.
But it's better. I like it better. What is albacore? Do you know?
So two different species that you'll see most often in canned tuna are skipjack or chunk white, and albacore, which would be solid white. You might also see it called that on the can. And so albacore is typically, will be a little bit more expensive than skipjack, but those are the two main canned tuna species that you'll see on store shelves. And, what we're seeing is that, again, big companies like Bumblebee, Chicken of the Sea, and StarKist, and actually, folks may think that they're American companies. They have American operations here, but they're actually internationally owned. And these are, companies that, in order to maximize their profits, have failed to switch their sourcing practices to be more sustainable. So we're really looking now at supermarkets to take a big responsibility here to ensure that any of the canned tuna they sell is ocean safe. And so, Larry, when you went to the website, you saw Poland line or fat-free.
Right.
It's an acronym. We can talk about it. It can sometimes be confusing, but essentially, there's more responsible ways to catch tuna, and they have a sustainability component, but also can have big implications in human rights abuses, depending on the way that tuna is caught. So it's really time to see those practices.
If I took a test when I was in school and I got a 38, I would feel terrible. I wouldn't want my mother to see this report. I know my father would be talking to me really sternly. I just got a 38 on this test, okay? Because I have no clue. I just didn't know. So I got my score, my shopper score, 38.
Wow. We have to all take this test.
I have no idea what to do now. What am I supposed to do? I mean, what do I look for? How do I fix this?
So certainly. So, I think exploring a little bit more on that website, again, folks, it's seafood.greenpeaceusa.org. So that's where you can take that initial test, and you pick your favorite grocer that you go to. And then beyond there, you should be able to click on, so if it's Publix, you should be able to click on the link there for Publix. It'll take you to Publix and show you how Publix scored in this year's report.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not so great. Publix ranked 23rd out of 25 retailers and was actually the only top 10 U.S. supermarket to fail this year. So Publix has a lot of work to do. But that's where you can find out a little bit more about your store.
But see,
and then also how.
Right. Yeah. Well, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that goes back to my statement, like with the Kathy Lee statement. She used the excuse she didn't know.
Yes.
Okay. So then I brought it to the store level, saying if I was a store owner, well, I didn't know. But now you brought it down to me personally. This test brought it to me. So now I can no longer say my store is what's responsible. It's me who's responsible.
Exactly.
And ultimately, just like the whole trickle down thing or the trickle up thing, if the consumer makes waves, guess what? A pebble in the ocean makes some kind of a wave eventually. Isn't that what they say, or something like that?
Do those reality shows like the Biggest Catch, the guys that are out there in the Bering Sea catching crab and that type of thing, are they a distraction to all of the problems that are within the fishing industry and the illegals that are going on, because they seem to be above board?
Yeah, that's a great question. Honestly, I think anything that's going to connect people more to our oceans is in my personal view, I think that's a good thing for folks to be able to get more awareness about what it means to catch fish. What are the problems facing our oceans globally? And I think one of the reasons why we have really focused on doing this report since 2008 is because that is often one of folks' most strong connections to the oceans is through their supermarket. And I think, it is a good point about, well, wait a second, is it the supermarket's responsibility or mine as an individual, shopper? And certainly I think the responsibility falls on both of us, right? But that having at least a little bit of that awareness and asking some of these questions, or, being more mindful when you go to the store, that can translate to big changes if more and more people start asking those questions, say when they go into a public store. So I think, it's all of us that can help make a difference here, but ultimately, again, we put the responsibility squarely on supermarkets, as they sell a lot of seafood every year. And
it's a smart way of doing it, too. I think it really affects us. We can understand it this way. I mean, in a short 20-minute, we even had our interview abbreviated because of the phone problems, but in the short interview, we were able to understand what you're trying to do and how we can make a difference. So to me, that's awesome. I mean, you guys have got your act together, and anybody who wants to, there is a political aspect to this, and I'll be honest with you, I will never understand it, because to me, we got to keep the place clean, and if you don't have any food, guess what? The kids don't eat. And Larry David said it for me too. I don't want no tuna fish. I want to make sure there's still tuna around. David Pinsky, thank you so much for being on the air with us today. Keep up the good work, and you're definitely welcome back anytime, and we'll re-record the song and send it to you.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Rob.
And be careful if you're out there on that boat. Do you get on? And thank you for getting up early out in San Francisco. You guys, you're 3 hours early.
No, I've only been on the ships when they've been in port. But yeah, folks should keep a lookout. They might see some, we're always out there doing something, and I think it is a really important way to raise awareness.
Thank you, David. That was a great interview. We will take a little break. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. Authorities are revealing details about last night's movie theater shooting in Louisiana. 9 people hurt, 2 women dead. Lafayette Police Chief Jim Kraft believes that John Russell Hauser, who ended up killing himself, had intended to escape, saying he was in possession of disguises.
His vehicle had a switched license tag on it.
2 people were killed by the gunman. 1 person is still in critical condition. Police also say they don't have much to go on as to why Hauser would have done this. They're asking for anybody who knew him to step forward.
Fox Radio's Evan Brown. President Obama heading to Kenya, where his late father is from.
1/4 of the nation's police force has been deployed in the capital. Islamic insurgents, including Al-Shabaab and Boko Haram, have launched recent attacks in the region.
Fox Radio's Jessica Gallagher in Nairobi, Kenya. And a state appeals court tossing out one of 2 felony indictments against former Texas Governor Rick Perry. Fox News, we report, you decide.
Okay, so let me see if I get this straight. You want the truck with the most towing power, the most payload, that accelerates faster, stops quicker, handles better than ever, that works smarter, is loaded with a ton of new technology and tools, has best-in-class gas mileage, that doesn't rust, and has the government's highest overall safety rating, 5 stars. Have I got that right? That's all you want, right? Everything? Okay. What color? This is the high-strength military-grade aluminum alloy body Ford F-150, and this changes everything. Built Ford Tough.
Towing when properly equipped with available 3.5-liter EcoBoost V6 4x2. Payload when properly equipped with available 5.0-liter V8 4x2. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds GVWR. EPA estimated fuel economy rating of 19 city, 26 highway, 22 combined MPG, 2.7-liter EcoBoost V6 4x2. Actual mileage will vary. Government 5-star safety ratings are part of the U.S. Department of Transportation's new car assessment program, safercar.gov.
It's time for Farm and Ranch Headlines on the Southeast AgNet. I'm Tyron Spearman. The Southern Peanut Growers Conference is underway at Callaway Gardens in Georgia. Brianna Bullard is there representing the Southeast AgNet and files this report.
Well, the conference is off to a great start. Last night there was an ice cream social with grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. After that, attendees were treated to a welcoming reception and dinner, followed by a casino night that benefited Peanut Proud, which is an organization that donates peanut butter to people in need. Today's activity program includes a 5K race and fun run, a prayer breakfast, a spouse program, and a cookout and movie on the lake. This morning, there are 2 question and answer sessions about how research is the future. There'll be a panel of researchers that include people from Auburn, Georgia Tech, UGA, University of Florida, and Mississippi State University. During the luncheon today, Krista Hardin, who's the Deputy Secretary of Agriculture, will be giving a keynote address about the need for policies and programs that expand opportunities in rural parts of America. Following lunch, there's a lecture on keeping the farm for future generations with Brett Martin from the USDA and Taylor Spangler from University of Florida. Tomorrow, we're going to learn about the future